So today is January 18th, 2024. It is now 12:37, and this is the Board of Directors meeting for the Windham School District, and we'll call the meeting to order. First off, we will do some changes to the agenda. We're going to move public comment and correspondence to the end of the agenda, as this was a meeting that was moved from our original date on Tuesday. That got changed by the superintendent due to the weather. So here we are kind of having the meeting now at an unusual time of day, and appreciate all the attendance of folks that are able to make it here today. So with that, any other changes to the agenda? The SU, both the superintendent and Lori Garland are unable to attend today. So I wouldn't recognize that we wouldn't have a principal report, nor would we have a superintendent report today. So we'll get started with those changes to the agenda. Rory, did you have anything else that you would see changed so we can kind of move along today and respect everyone's time?
I'm pulling up the agenda right now. Take a look. I think we can move forward how it is. We just need Daniel. Crystal has her hand up though, so let's hear what she has to say.
And we're gonna, like I said, public comment and correspondence, we can move to the end because we have some pretty heavy items we've got to get to and a limited amount of time for people's availability. So with that being said and those changes being made, so that will be public comment correspondence will be done after we finish new business. So with that, I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313A1 after making specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or a person involved at substantial disadvantage. F, confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body. E, pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. B, labor relations agreements with employees. Can I get a second?
Just hold on a second there. Daniel was rebooting his computer, and I think he may be
in the waiting room. Fabulous.
So you may want to start over.
Let's see, is he can you get in here?
Hello?
Here you are, Dan.
Oh my goodness.
So
I'm here.
So we've called the meeting to order. I've recommended we do some changes to the agenda as far as moving public comment and correspondence to after new business. And then I just read the motion to go into executive session. So having seen the agenda, do you want me to reread that, or are you familiar with what's on there?
I'm familiar.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to move into executive session. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we will move into executive session. The recording has started and it is 1:04 p.m. We are back into open session. And I move to have Abigail Pelton obtain legal counsel on behalf of the Windham School District. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to old business. We have minutes to approve from all of our meetings from December, and as well as the minutes from town meeting, May 20th, 2023, the school portion. Mac was able to, as the clerk for the select board, do the school portion for us since we were actively in the meeting. And so I'm gonna make a motion to approve minutes from 12/14/23, 11 a.m., 12/14/23, 2:30 p.m., 12/19/23, and 12/22/23, as well as the Windham Town Meeting Day, May 2023 school portion minutes. May I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on those minutes? Okay, hearing none, those are all approved. So we'll be able to make sure to get to the auditors and let them know that that has gone through.
Do we need to vote on that?
And so moving along, approve financials. Lori's not here. I had some
Do
questions.
we need to do like an all in favor situation?
Oh,
The
yes,
minute.
I'm sorry, can we get a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all the minutes passed. Thank you for pointing that out. Approve financials. I had some questions for Lori. Since she's not here and no one from the SU is available today, we're gonna have to push that along. So moving on to new business, we no longer have, we're not no longer, but we don't have a principal or superintendent report, so that has been removed. Third draft of budget. Daniel, I don't know if you can briefly speak on this. Again, we don't have Lori here, so what would you like to share regarding your experience with the budget?
Sure. So in general, the dollar amount and, a lot of the costs are pretty much, where they need to be. There are changes that I'd like to make. I just haven't either gotten the attention or say like any draft numbers from the SU when it comes to that. I sent it, I don't know, first weeks of January, so like the first week to the 7th. So I'm hoping I get a response back on that. I'm not sure if that has to be something that the school board has to direct the SU as opposed to an individual board member. I don't know, maybe someone knows, how that works, but if that's the case, I can put forth that motion. But there is a lot that we learned from one, the survey, two, talking with parents that with the tax cap, with the CLA, with our increased pupil count because of different weightings, we have a really great budget, to be honest, and a very low tax rate, and we could have a way more reach in terms of what we offer at the school, and I'd like that reflected rather than putting it into flooring. I think that the flooring is perfectly containing asbestos at the moment. We set up, a nice deep clean, but let's offer after school or secondary clubs, extracurricular, curricular. So I'm hoping to see some of that action from the SU in the next weeks because we have to approve a budget, 30 days before the voting day. So.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll wait on the SU for that as well. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rory.
I actually need to, I forgot I had it written down, but in the town meeting minutes from 2023, they have my term incorrect.
Okay, so we will approve the minutes with the amended, motion to approve the town meeting minutes with the change of the appropriate term for Rory. Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so we'll get that changed. Thank you for pointing
Sorry,
that out.
guys.
Nope, I didn't even catch that. So good eyes. Okay, so we're cranking along here. Warning article, a discussion, possible action. Shall the voters authorize the school board to petition the State Board of Education for an adjustment of the existing supervisory union of which it is a component district pursuant to 16 V.S.A. 261B, and join the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union effective July 1st, 2024. So with this, what this is this isn't a guarantee of anything. This is the board requesting the town to have an article so that we can do, it's a needs survey. There's a whole process. And it may, in that, we may be able to, with that information, make a determination. Is it better to change SUs or maybe it's not? So it's not anything that's set, like this is what's going to happen. It's just allowing the board to follow through with just looking at those options and just weighing in to see if that is a better fit for our community or not. So I don't know if there's discussion for that. If anybody has any concerns regarding Crystal?
So there's a lot of things that you guys just haven't considered with this motion. First of all, we are part of the Leland and Gray Union. You can't leave that union unless all 5 towns agree to let you out. That school is represented by the WCSU. You cannot be in 2 supervisory unions.
It wouldn't be, Crystal, for 2 supervisory unions. It's just an article to allow the board to do a needs assessment, which is, it's a whole process to just see and compare the 2 and then make a decision. It's not set in stone that would happen. That would be depending on what the evidence presents is what the board would base their decision on. But in order to do that, we want, the consent from the community to at least look at that. So that's what that's for. It's not by warning that article, that does not mean we automatically are just changing to Bennington Rutland. It means the board has more work to do and research to find out if that's even an option. So does that answer your question?
That's fine, as long as the board isn't spending town money to do that research, because you would be in 2 supervisory unions. Because the first step is seeing if you can get out of the Leland and Gray union. If you cannot get out of that union is represented by the WCSU. So the WCSU would be the supervisory union for grades 7 through 12. You cannot have a separate supervisory union for grades K through 6.
Correct. It would be a very big change. Yes.
I think we tried that in the past.
So,
I think that's
okay.
been brought up.
Any other discussion regarding the article? Okay, so I'm gonna move to warn the article for shall the voters authorize the school board to petition the state Board of Education for adjustment of the existing supervisory union for which it's a component district pursuant to 16 V.S.A. 261B and join the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union effective July 1, 2024. Can I get a second?
Abby, we've got some hands up.
Okay. Well, let's get the second on the table and then we'll have the hands for discussion. So is there a second?
I'd like to just understand a little bit more because I know what Crystal
we
said.
could vote no. We're not getting to the point yet. We still have to have the discussion. So the motion on the table is to warn the article and we can have that discussion, but I need a second.
Okay, sure. Second.
Okay, discussion. So it looked like Bridget Blanchard had her hand up, then Pat McLean and Meredith Tips McLean. So go ahead, Bridget.
Okay, am I unmuted?
You are.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So is this something that's kind of happening throughout the state that boards are being asked to survey? I just wondered how this all came about.
So we are, as this board, really just exploring every option as to what is, what what's going to be best and how we can plan moving forward. So there's been a lot of questions from people in the community that I'm aware of, and just my time with working with the school board, that have advocated the Floodbrook and Taconic and Green as a better option. So in trying to, hear that part of it in order to conduct this initial needs survey to say, we would be looking for town approval. So that's what the article before would be, just to kind of look into, what is this? Can we do this? Is this even going to be the path we want to take? And that information we get may be no. But I think while we are exploring all these different options, it's worthy to look into, since it's meeting the timeline, and we have the timeline to put it on as an article for town meeting. So does that kind of answer your question, Bridget? It's nothing set in stone. It's just something to explore and take a look at.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Pat McLean?
Yeah, I'm quite confused, because the article that we're discussing here says that you're voting on an article to authorize the board to petition the State Board of Education and to join the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union. It says nothing about a needs survey. If you wanted to do a needs survey and make a proposal for the board to consider, that's a different thing. But this is an article, and if this is passed, then this is going to go on the notice for the meeting.
Correct.
And I'm not sure that is not what you just said, so I'm confused.
So if a school district is looking to has an interest in potentially changing supervisory unions, they have to hold a vote in favor of the adjustment, which is in compliant with the Title 16, and then conduct a needs assessment to indicate the current and proposed educational services. Then submit a petition to the State Board of Education with the above information, and wait for the approval from the State Board of Education and the agreement from the affected districts. So everything Crystal had mentioned earlier, all of that plays in. It's just a little bit more of a process. And what we're looking to get is to get the article so that we can conduct that needs assessment, which may determine we don't want to do that. But we won't know unless we do it, and we need to have the vote in order to begin that process. So that is, that's kind of where that comes from. So we would have to wait for the commissioner's recommendation and response from the state board. The commissioner would review the request and determine if it meets statutory requirements for changing supervisory unions. And the state board will then decide whether or not to approve the request after considering all relevant factors. So those are, that's just the process, but it's not, like I said, we can do this survey and it may be decided like this is really not going to work out best for our community. But we won't know until we do that survey, and this vote is a part of getting to that point.
I have two things. So I do agree with Pat, and the wording does not really sound like it reflects what you're saying. So maybe we could change the wording of that a little bit. But also, have you or anybody been in contact with Bennington Rutland or any other?
So part of all of this, when we obtain new legal counsel, they will also be involved in potentially assisting with this process. So if we so choose as a board to utilize them for that. So that's an option, but no, I personally have not reached out to them. And I'm not sure it's all what comes out of the needs assessment. I mean, essentially, if the needs assessment dictates that there should be a change, then we would all be kind of collaborating and working towards, well, clearly there's a need for a change. But if it does not indicate a need for a change, then we know that. So it's just, again, working with the timelines, town meeting, and warning articles. This is just getting the article out there. So,
and would it specifically have to be, do we have to name Bennington Rutland, or is that arbitrary, or does?
So when we're looking at geographic consideration, They are our next closest supervisory union that we would meet geographic consideration with Floodbrook. Distance to Floodbrook versus Townsend is exactly the same distance.
Is Floodbrook
So-
is in that union?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
So, so we do meet the criteria for geographic consideration, as well as historically, Windham was a part of Londonderry. So there's many factors that may be interesting as far as how that goes, but ultimately, like this is all stuff that could come out again at town meeting. But it's just getting the article out there. So that's really what I'm looking for. I think Meredith was next.
Meredith.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that I understand the scenario that you are positing where we switch to a different supervisory union is not with the school, with the Windham Elementary School still continuing to exist. Is that correct? So like it would be, this is Windham Elementary School closes down, we join this other union, the kids go to Floodbrook? Is that what you're?
No, this is, should that be an option? Maybe. Should it be that the school operates and
Theory, it could be either.
it could be that as well. These are all things that would be determined in the needs survey, like that it also might say leave it be. But so there's other options. It may be considering a non-operational budget. It may be considering an operational budget and change of SU.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to. And the reason to switch supervisory unions is because you don't like the way that like Bob and them have been interacting. Like I don't know what's the rationale.
We're at a space where the board is really building from, the ground up. So while we're in this, let's explore every possible realm, this is kind of something we should be considering to make sure we're covering all angles, because there's been a lot of people who have voiced, in the subject of school closure, preferring to have kids go to Floodbrook. So whichever path that information comes through, that would be what would be discovered through that needs assessment.
You said all different kinds of paths are being sort of discussed. Or is one of them like school choice? Is that even on the table for you guys as something that you're considering?
So as far as school choice goes, I think that if a non-operational school is what ends up happening, then that meets that school choice parameter. But as far as if we do plan a budget, it's not to have an operational school. And so I'm not sure if that really answers the question, because it's not decided yet, and it's not in pro or against anybody. It's just trying to figure out what's the best path forward. So does that kind of make sense?
I guess what I still don't understand is, would you say that it would somehow be preferable for us to join a different union, send kids to a different school? Like that's, I don't know. It just sounds like that's more under consideration than school choice. It sounds like basically it's, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's just, it's hard for me to understand what different kinds of things are under consideration right now.
Understandable. Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else we can answer for you, Meredith?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Russ, is that you?
That's me. I have 3 or 4 different items that I think might help members of the school board. The Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union is only the SU. The Taconic and Green is the school district that you might be considering joining. And if you want to learn about Taconic and Green, you can go to the Londonderry town office and you can get their annual report, which is a very complete annual report about the school. It has a tremendous amount of very valuable information in it. And I would encourage school board members individually to visit Floodbrook, to visit the mountain school, even to visit over to the Andover Chester Elementary School to see what the differences are and what is basically offered by the different schools. You can't go together as a team because that's a school board meeting, but you can go individually, and I would encourage all of you to do so. I'd also like to know, Abby, what do you mean by what is best? What is your definition of best when you're looking to find, quote, the best option here?
The one that's going to make most sense and one that will work.
Is that for the students or for the people who want to keep the school open? Best for the students or best for the building?
It would, of course, be what's best for the students. Yes.
Best for the school, not the students.
For the
Your point is
thank you, Russ. Thank you, Russ. Aaron, your hand is up. Go ahead.
The other question I have is, when you say needs, what needs?
We've moved on to Aaron, Russ. Aaron, you may go ahead.
So you did mention earlier that with this, we'll call it inquiry, which I do believe, is worded wrong on there to go forward with. You said that you're exploring other options. So with that, since you said you were exploring options, why aren't we talking about all those other options? And if you could list them out of what you're exploring at the same time, that would be wonderful.
Noted. Thank you. Ginny. You're muted, Ginny. All right, Sarah E.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, there you go, Jenny.
Oh, sorry. I had trouble getting it unmuted. I'm just projecting what it might be like during town meeting for this, because you can see that people are really confused about it. And it's something that's sort of throwing, you're kind of, all of a sudden here we have it seems like a pretty big idea. Is there a way you can make the public, the community, understand it a little better before town meeting? Because otherwise I think it could take a long time during town meeting.
There would be an informational meeting specific to the article. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay,
that's all.
Sarah E, and then we're going to move on because everyone's spoken once and we've got to keep the timeline moving here. So Sarah E.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. So quickly, I was wondering if I could just make a quick suggestion, and I'm assuming that this will probably happen anyways. When you are exploring the option of changing supervisory unions, it would be cool to, all emotions aside, look at the black and white figures of how both supervisory unions are doing with regards to testing, standards, and overall the education piece. And more specifically, I'm curious as to how the kids at Leland and Gray compare to the kids at Burton. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so with that, and trying to keep this moving forward here, we had the motions, we've had discussion. I'm hearing some changes to the wording. This was the wording that was presented to me. So I would but to look at how we could possibly change how this could look to component pursuant. So it is a bit wordy, but in 16261B, pull that out. Got a stack of papers for today. Okay, here it is. So yes, this is right from the I know people were kind of wondering where it came from, but the Vermont statutes, Title 16, Chapter 7, Supervisory Unions, 261, Organization and Adjustment of Supervisory Unions. So if you go to what is listed in the article of 261 1, B, any school district which has so voted in its annual school district meeting, if said meeting has been properly warned regarding such a vote, may apply to the State Board of Education for adjustment of the existing supervisory union of which it is a component district. The state board shall give timely consideration to such requests and may regroup the school districts of the area so as to ensure reasonable supervision of all public schools therein. So that is what it's referencing. And as I said, there would be a special meeting just for the discussion on this and how this would go forward. So, you know, I think that the motion for now, I'm comfortable leaving it as is, but we can always change that at the special meeting if that's, you know, what people are concerned about with wording and come up with different wording. But this was the wording I got off of the state statute. So, I don't know why that's there. Oh, here we go. Okay, so all that with the discussion. So can we take a vote now? We got Daniel on here. Okay,
sorry?
so I said, so this was warned, like we did the motion, we had a second, we just had discussion. All those in favor of warning the article, say aye. Aye.
I think we need to reword it before we can vote on it.
So, but the article, we'll figure out a way to have the wording adjusted. But as for right now, the point is, this is the language that I think we need to use as of now until we get advice otherwise. So
Can we just defer until we get advice otherwise? I would feel better about doing it properly. I know you said this is the proper way, but just making sure that this is correct, because I understand what people are saying with how the wording doesn't sound exactly like what you're saying. And I kind of feel that way too, that it's, you know, the survey and the research part is kind of like another layer. I would feel more comfortable if we got that first before we pass the article.
Okay, so with that added discussion, all right, so we'll do the vote again and everyone can vote how they vote. And I hear what you're saying, Rory, but so I'm gonna vote aye. I don't know, Daniel and Rory, how you guys want to vote, but we'll see what happens here.
I'm gonna vote nay just based on, I prefer to have the wording proper so that everybody understands. It just seems like there's confusion and I don't think I don't feel comfortable with that.
And Daniel?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we should probably get the wording down so it's crystal clear what we're talking about. And
So
then
the motion fails.
do the
That's
motion.
fine. And so that's okay, but that's so everybody to have that. We will work on that wording to get to make sure it's more in line with what people are thinking.
Thank you.
Now moving along, the petition for warning item. That is also, we're gonna have to get some legal advice on, and we don't have any of those people here at this meeting today. So that is unfortunately another thing we will not be able to discuss today. E20 building use policy. So that was we received documentation from that. And while I'm digging that up, I don't know if you guys want to kind of discuss what your thoughts are on it. Have you heard from people interested? I know I've heard from people who want to provide services at the school for students, as well as a couple different families that are interested.
I haven't heard from anybody specifically, but I think that if we can allow people to use the building, that's good. And I did get, I think you guys are probably on this too. Greg Frost sent out an example of building use under E20. I think it was maybe from Burlington. So it's yeah, I mean, it's an acceptable process, and thing that I think that we should do.
Okay.
That comes with, rules and.
So there was a waiver that was also received, a facilities use waiver, assumptions of risk, indemnity agreement, and release of all claims. So in order for anyone to participate in activities there, they would be required to sign this. So therefore, it also alleviates any liability. And I think that that's totally fine, and people would be willing to do that. So with that, I'm not sure how we'd want to word that motion to allow building use. And the other piece would be, I guess what I would put out there is that if we were to be doing something where there were homeschool families to be present or activities to be going on, I would make sure that I would be present for the entirety of whatever event would be going on, so that we would have somebody overseeing the building, so that nothing would be going on without myself being there. So I guess we could motion to allow the use of the building with Abigail Pelton overseeing. I don't know what that would be called. I don't know if it's not really management of the building use, but I'll be responsible for the collecting the waivers and being in the building. So
I don't know if I have the document that you have. I'm looking. Did that come from Greg as well?
it did. Yep.
The waiver? Okay, because I wonder if that's this then. What I have is
Lori.
Community use of school facilities code E20.
Yes.
Is this something that maybe should be shared so that people know how the building may be used? Decision.
Sure. I mean, if you have the E20 form right in front of you.
I do.
So if you want to go ahead and maybe highlight what it says there.
Okay.
I had everything all in order and it got shuffled when I changed everything. Do you want to share, Rory, what it says, the E20?
Yeah. I'm just making it so that I can share my screen and it's in a separate. Host disabled participant sharing. You're muted, Abby.
He said, I'm going to fix that for you. Okay. Here, I'll just do this. You're hosting. You're going to have to give it back to me.
Okay. Okay. Can you see this all right?
Yes.
Okay. So this came from Greg Frost. It's just the code E20 recommended guideline for community use of school facilities. And I'm happy to send this out to everybody. It just outlines the policy regarding building use and what are considered possible uses and things that may not be possible. So I don't know if you want me to read this out loud or if people have this on their screen, if they can see it. I don't know if it works well on mobile devices, but.
I would love a copy of that email to me, Rory. This is Sarah, by the way. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Does anybody want me to read this, or do you want me to email it to you, or do you want, or can you guys see it? I don't know what everybody has, what their access is like right now.
So I guess,
All right, how about that? So administrative responsibilities. The superintendent may authorize the use of school facilities by community members for the following purposes, provided all relevant procedures are followed. Meetings by parent-teacher organizations and school booster organizations. Instruction in any branch of education, learning, and the arts, social, civic, and recreational meetings and entertainment, provided the events are open to the public, civic forums and community centers, provided the events are open to the public, recreation, physical training, and athletics, including competitive athletic contests for children and adults, private academic tutoring or music lessons, childcare programs. And so, Abby, this will go through a request and approval process. Is that correct?
yeah, I mean, these are all, again, would be stuff that we would be asking the SU, so they're not here.
Okay. So also, there's also meetings, entertainment, occasions where admission fees are charged when the proceeds are to be spent for an educational or charitable purpose, and the events are open to the public. Boy Scouts of America, Big Sisters of America, Girls Club of America, Future Farmers of America, Girl Scouts of America, Little League Baseball, and any other group intended to serve youth under the age of 21 listed in Title 36 of the U.S. Code, use of school facilities upon payment of suitable fees and costs according to the district fee schedule. So I believe Burlington charges a small fee for use of the school, which I think is reasonable. If that's
So
we can
what we can do, depending on how folks feel, is because it's the board's discretion, we're still going to have to go through this process, but I think making a decision whether or not I'm going to abstain. So whether you guys feel that it's a good idea or not.
You're gonna. I'm sorry. Can you just
pursue from that point forward, working with the superintendent and the board, should we need to? So,
Abby, I apologize for interrupting. I tried raising my hand. This is Sue Haskins. I'm the executive assistant to the superintendent. And in the board packet today, I did provide a sample policy, E20 for building use, along with that sample waiver for the board. The public should be able to access that on our website as well.
Oh, thank you.
And so what we would need, so this is a sample and we wanted to bring it up and have the board review it. And what the next steps would be that we would need to warn this policy and then adopt the policy. So if this is something that the board wants to go forth with, again, we provided that sample policy. We can warn it at the next meeting and then the adoption would come later.
That is perfect. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Okay. So, so I motion for the board to warn the building use policy E20. Can I get a second?
This should just say we had to warn it for the next.
Yes, that's all.
Warn it now and adopt it for the
next meeting. So can I get a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay. And
well, we have hands up, but I don't know if they're up from before or if they're new hands. Erin and Pat.
Erin?
So with allowing school, the use of the school while it's non-operational, which I don't think is addressed in E20. You did mention about, doing a small charge, but what effect will that have on the budget, since right now the tuition monies are going elsewhere and the heating fuel costs then would rise up?
Well, the heating and fuel isn't changed unless the SU has changed it on their own. They were told to kind of leave it as is, not drop the heat down, just to make sure the building doesn't have any challenges with the change in temperature. So I don't foresee that being an issue. But
yeah, I can I can kind of add a little more. I did talk to Lori about specifically fixed costs, and this would fall under fixed costs. So we would incur this under our FY24 actuals regardless.
So, okay, does that answer your question, Erin?
Yep, all set.
Okay, thank you. Pat McLean, your hand's up.
Could be up from before, maybe.
You're muted, Pat, if there's something.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay. I just wanted to step back for a minute and ask about who is responsible for the oversight of the building now that the building is non-operational. We have electricity, we have heating, there's phone. What happens if there's a major storm? Is someone checking that building regularly and checking the heating in it? And what about insurance? What about fire issues? I guess I don't know anything about that. And I think to open up a building, someone has to be in charge of overall looking at this building for this next period of time. And it's when we're in the middle.
We do have answers to that question
Good.
from our last meeting.
That.
I just want to make sure, in case you haven't, if you weren't there last meeting.
I have been to most of the meetings, and I didn't hear anything about the maintenance and the oversight of the building during this time. And having people come in the building to use the building there's an insurance issue as well, since nobody from the school necessarily is going to be there all the time.
Well, that's why there is a waiver as well. So that liability wouldn't fall under the insurance, even though the school is listed as a public library. So that's another conversation we continue to have, is trying to figure out how we're meeting all of this criteria. So we have Russ and then Sarah.
Just to get back to that answer, it's in the previous minutes as well as the recording. Greg Frost presented and asked for a motion for a new position to essentially be a custodian to the building. So that would fall under the new duties. We did motion and pass that, I believe. And so that
I don't know if
is
anybody
out
was
there.
hired.
What, good.
Do you know if somebody was hired? I didn't receive anything.
There was
after
never a
that.
job posted, that they said they were going to post it. And I'm not sure, again, we'll get that update when we're able to get the supervisory union staff available.
Okay.
So none of that's been shared.
I just want to make sure that people know that we do have it documented. We have a job posting, not necessarily posted, but we do have it in line and the board has already approved it.
Is it possible that it was internal and didn't get posted? I don't know if that's something that maybe happened. That's why it wasn't. Okay. Well, we can probably ask him. I'm sure he would be willing to divulge.
Okay. Russ or Joyce?
It's Russ. Paul Wyman, who's been cleaning the building, is there on a weekly basis. I've seen his truck frequently.
Mhm.
And also the insurance policy is an annual policy. It hasn't been canceled, so liability is extended through the end of the policy term, and I'm assuming that's June 30th. So the liability risk and the maintenance or observing of the building has been covered in that respect. But the question I have for the board, and it's particularly for Daniel Ross, is and for you, Abby, have you received any correspondence from Tarrant, Gillis, and Shims, a law firm in Montpelier?
So we're going to get to correspondence at the end of the meeting.
Oh, you're dealing with that as correspondence. Okay, all right.
No, there is a petition that was received. We have to get legal guidance on that, and we do not have any legal guidance here, and we are actually looking to obtain our own legal guidance. So once that, hopefully I'll have that connected by the end of the day today. So we can run that get that received and addressed. So unfortunately,
at the last board meeting, Dan Corby asked if you would accept the advice of the Windham Central Supervisory Union attorney on legal items, and you all expressed yes that you would. So I'm sure that Bob Tebow has received a copy of this, as well as you, Abby, and Daniel. And according to the statute, you're required, because it was submitted within all terms and conditions of the statutes of the state of Vermont, to include it in a notice of the school board meeting on March 9th.
Right.
Russ, Russ, can you say the name of the law firm again?
Tarrant, Tarrant, Gillies,
Okay.
Gillies, and Shims, Shems. If you'd like a copy of it, I'll email the entire package to you.
I'll let you know if I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Okay, so with that, there's a motion. We've had discussion. All those in favor say aye, and I abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Since there's an abstention, we have to do a roll call vote. Abigail Pelton, abstain.
Rory Russello, aye.
And Dan?
I'm sorry, what's on the floor?
We need a roll call vote because Abby abstained
Oh,
This is the
for the
so
E20.
what does that entail?
the building use
the last vote?
policy.
We're warning the E20 building use policy, and Abby abstained, so we need to do a roll call vote. So just your name and your vote.
Daniel Roth, yes. Aye.
Okay, so that will be added to the next agenda, to be, so it's be warned for the next agenda. Now we can move to, let's see here. So like you had mentioned, Russ had brought up the petition. Again, we need to get legal guidance on that, so we cannot move forward with that right now. And we can move down to, public comment as well as, correspondence. So, I guess what we will do, since we have such a large meeting, we'll limit public comment to a minute, and then we'll get into correspondence. So was there anyone for public comment? Okay, Emily?
Hi. I know that earlier it was mentioned there was a survey that went out about Windham School and what you'd like to see offered, and I just want to comment that I never received that. So I must be missing from some email list.
I'm sorry. I can get it to you. I went based off the email list that I was given from Bob. So if it wasn't on whatever list he got it from, then I apologize. So I'll make sure that you get it, Emily.
Okay, thank you.
I will also jump in here too. I did not receive it as well.
Same thing, Erin. I'm sorry. I'll make sure you get it.
Bridget Blanchard also didn't receive it. Yeah.
I don't understand how you guys are all. I don't know everybody's emails, so I apologize for not being able to. Crystal, I know I sent it to you because I do have your email address, but I'll resend it.
I even checked my junk email.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Maybe I entered it wrong, but I definitely sent it to you because I knew your email address was not on there.
Okay, so Emily, did you have another comment? Because your time was up.
Nope, it was just that. And if any other surveys that come out, I'd like to make sure I get them, please.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for letting us know. We haven't heard from Bill Casey yet. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, I had a couple quick things. One, Russ said you agreed that you would not seek legal counsel other than what the supervisory union suggested. Why are you now saying you have to go out and get legal advice again? You check with the supervisory union and that's it. You agreed. The three of you all agreed that you would not seek separate legal advice. You would take the advice from the supervisory union on the petition. 1. 2, Abigail, since you were so adamant regarding school choice, I thought I'd ask you what you feel your duties are to the parents, students, and the community as school board chair.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
I'd like to have your comments, though. I'm asking you a
But in
question.
public comment, we don't have to answer. So that's, you know, you can make your statement and your time is up. So thank you for that comment, Bill. Crystal?
I just didn't put my hand down.
Okay. And Bridget, were you the same boat with your hand, or did you have a public comment?
Oh, I had a public comment.
Okay.
The principal's report, I know this is like a Bob question, but to date, we really haven't heard a principal's report from the school. And now it's really like kind of want to know how the kids are doing now that they're, you know, shifted to different schools and everything. So I guess I'm just going to ask for the next meeting. Just ask Bob at the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we can get somebody from
you.
Townsend to step in.
That would be great. Yeah, if someone from Townsend could come and speak to how the kids are doing, that would be really great.
We were hoping to have that, but with everything that got changed, it's been a juggle. So unfortunately, that's a piece we're missing here. But we echo your concern. We want to hear that information as well. So, anything else, Bridget?
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Erin, I see your hand up.
This is probably more for Rory, since she sent out the survey for the last meeting. Also, it said it was going to go out to all community members. Did that happen?
It hasn't yet.
Okay, so you're doing it in 2 rounds?
Yeah. Well, so I sent out to the parents list, which apparently wasn't complete. So I really apologize for that. That was not my intention at all. And so it's going out to the parents. It is all anonymous, and it will be anonymous when it goes to the community as well. So it will go out in two phases.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Erin. Okay. Bridget, I don't know if your hand's still up or.
Oh no, we got to put it down.
It's okay. All right. So with that, we have correspondence if there's no other public comment. So not public comment, correspondence was, we received some correspondence from Bridget Corby. She was pretty unhappy about the survey. Understandably, in the sense of, really felt it would be more appropriate to have gotten kind of a check-in with families on how it's going. But this was a survey that was kind of designed well before any of this transition happened. So that is something that the board will be looking at, is conducting another survey as well to check in with families and see how their transitions are going, or it has gone, and be able to get that feedback directly from families. So I think for those of you who weren't included in that initial survey, you probably wouldn't get that one if your student does not attend and hasn't been a part of that transition. But that's just to find out and make sure that families that have been going from the transition from WES to TES and getting the family's feedback as to what's been working, what's not working, and just giving the board some insight there. So that was, so Bridget was pretty upset that wasn't kind of how the survey came across at first. And I just would say, and the board's, defense there, it was not intended to not seem like we don't want to know what's going on. It's just, this was part of trying to figure out budgeting and information, what families wanted to incorporate into the budget. And then we also had received some correspondence from Crystal, who was unhappy about the meeting being canceled and couldn't agree with you more, Crystal. I think we're all frustrated the meeting was canceled, but we're doing the best we can to navigate through and go forward.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who showed up. This is a
pretty good turnout for us trying to roll with what we've got here. And I still feel there's some really important items on here we need to address, but at least the auditors can get the town meeting minutes and that portion done. And we have some stuff that's going to be warned. So we have more stuff that'll be in the pipeline. We'll likely have to schedule a special meeting. And hopefully we can figure out an evening timeline to make it more accommodating. It's just been really challenging. There's been, between our counterparts in the supervisory union and our own board, we've all been navigating illness. We've all been navigating just general life challenges on top of, this schedule. Same thing with the SU, illness, challenges with family and whatnot. So we appreciate everybody's understanding that we're doing our best to meet these timelines. And hopefully we can get another meeting scheduled where we can have a quorum as well as the board representation to get some guidance and answers to some of the remaining questions from the agenda today. So with that being said, I'm going to move to adjourn the meeting at 2 o'clock. Can I get a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Daniel
Did
did.
we lose him? Well, if we lost Daniel, looking through our long list of people, one of the things I do need to verify is we have iPad 2. Who's iPad 2?
Tom Widger.
Tom Widger, thank you, sir. And I think everyone else's name we have. Let's see. Perfect. So we have two motions on the motion on the floor to adjourn. We have it seconded, and I don't think we have Daniel, so I'm gonna say at 2:01 the meeting is adjourned, and we will be looking to either have a special meeting hopefully prior to our next meeting in February. So thank you all for attending. Please stay safe and stay healthy and warm because it's really cold out there today. So meeting is adjourned. Thank you.